everyone. So today we are going to continue on the importance of being earnest, and I think we're actually going to finish Act 3. Yes, we're going to finish Act 3 today. I guess let's just get started. The last time I left you guys off with Cecily and Gwendolyn retiring to the garden with scornful looks. Jack: "Pretty mess you've gotten me into." Algernon sits down at tea table and pours out some tea. He seems quite unconcerned. "What on earth do you mean by coming down here and pretending to be my brother? Perfectly monstrous of you." Algernon, eating a muffin: "What on earth do you mean by pretending to have a brother? It was absolutely disgraceful." Eats another muffin. "I told you to go away by 3:50. I ordered the dog cart for you. Why on earth didn't you take it?" "I hadn't had my tea." "This ghastly state of things is what you call bunburying, I suppose?" "Yes, and a perfectly wonderful bunbury it is. The most wonderful bunbury I have ever had in my life." "Well, you've no right whatsoever to bunbury here." "That is absurd. One has a right to bunbury anywhere one chooses. Every serious bunburyist knows this." "Serious bunburyist? Good heavens!" "Well, one must be serious about something if one wants to have any amusement in life. I happen to be serious about bunburying. What on earth you are serious about, I haven't got the remotest idea. About everything, I should fancy. You have such an absolutely trivial nature." "Well, the only small satisfaction I have in the whole of this wretched business is that your friend Bunbury is quite exploded. You won't be able to run down to the country quite so often as you used to, dear Algy. And a very good thing, too. Your brother is a little off-color, isn't he, dear Jack? You won't be able to disappear to London quite so frequently as your wicked custom was, and not a bad thing either. As for your conduct towards Miss Cardew, I must say that your taking in a sweet, simple, innocent girl like that is quite inexcusable, to say nothing of the fact that she is my ward. I can see no possible defense at all for your deceiving a brilliant, clever, thoroughly experienced young lady like Miss Fairfax, to say nothing of the fact that she is my cousin. I wanted to be engaged to Gwendolyn, that is all. I love her. Well, I simply wanted to be engaged to Cecily. I adore her. There is certainly no chance of you marrying Miss Cardew. I don't think there is much likelihood, Jack, of you and Miss Fairfax being united. Well, that is no business of yours. If it was my business, I wouldn't talk about it. It is very vulgar to talk about one's business. Only people like stockbrokers do that, and then merely at dinner parties. How can you sit there, calmly, eating muffins when we are in this horrible trouble? I can't make out. You seem to me to be perfectly heartless." "Well, I can't eat muffins in an agitated manner. The butter would probably get on my cuffs. One should always eat muffins quite calmly. It is the only way to eat them. I say, it's perfectly heartless your eating muffins at all, under the circumstances. When I am in trouble, eating is the only thing that consoles me. Indeed, when I am in really great trouble, as one who knows me intimately will tell you, I refuse everything except food and drink. At this present moment, I am eating muffins because I am unhappy. Besides, I am particularly fond of muffins." Rising. Jack, also rising. "Well, that is no reason why you should eat them all in that greedy way." Takes muffins from Algernon. Algernon offering tea cake. "I wish you would have tea cake instead. I don't like tea cake." "Good heavens! I suppose a man may eat his own muffins in his own house? "But you have just said it was perfectly heartless to eat muffins." "I said it was perfectly heartless of you, under the circumstances. That is a very different thing." "That may be, but the muffins are the same." He seizes the muffin dish from Jack. "Algy, I wish to goodness you would go." "You can't possibly ask me to go without having some dinner. It's absurd. I never go without my dinner." "No one ever does, except vegetarians and people like that. Besides, I have just made arrangements with Dr. Chasuble to be christened at the 5:45 under the name of Ernest." "My dear fellow, the sooner you give up that nonsense, the better. I made arrangements this morning with Dr. Chasuble to be christened myself at 5:30, and I naturally will take the name of Ernest. Gwendolyn would wish it. We can't both be christened Ernest. It's absurd. Besides, I have a perfect right to be christened if I like. There is no evidence at all that I have ever been christened by anybody. I should think it extremely probable I never was, and so does Dr. Chasuble. It is entirely different in your case. It is entirely different in your case. You have been christened already. Yes, but I have not been christened for years. Yes, but you have been christened. Is it christened? Christianed. Christened. Christened. That is the important thing. Quite so. So I know my constitution can stand it. If you are not quite sure about your ever having been christened, I must say I think it rather dangerous you're venturing on it now. It might make you unwell. You can hardly have forgotten that someone very closely connected with you was very nearly carried off this week in Paris by a severe chill. Yes, but you said yourself it was not hereditary or anything of that kind. It usedn't to be, I know, but I dare say it is now. Science is always making wonderful improvements in the things. May I ask, Algy, what on earth do you propose to do? Nothing. That is what I have been trying to do for the last 10 minutes, and you have kept on doing everything in your power to distract my attention from my work. Well, I shall go out to the garden and see Gwendolen. I feel quite sure she expects me. I know from her extremely cold manner that Cecily expects me, so I certainly shan't go out into the garden. When a man does exactly what a woman expects him to do, she doesn't think much of him. One should always do what a woman doesn't expect, just as one should always say what she doesn't understand. The result is invariably perfect sympathy on both sides. Sympathy. Oh, that is nonsense. You are always talking nonsense. It is much cleverer to talk nonsense than to listen to it, my dear fellow. And a much rarer thing, too, in spite all the public may say. I don't listen to you. I can't listen to you. Oh, that is merely false modesty. You know perfectly well you could listen to me if you tried. You always underrate yourself, an absurd thing to do nowadays when there are such a lot of conceited people about. Jack, you are eating the muffins again. I wish you wouldn't. There are only 2 left. Removes plate. I told you I was particularly fond of muffins. But I hate tea cake. Why on earth do you allow tea cake to be served up to your guests then? What ideas you have of hospitality. Oh, that is not the point. We are not discussing tea cakes. Algy, you are perfectly maddening. You never can stick to the point of any conversation. No, it always hurts me. Good heavens! What affection! I loathe affection. Well, my dear fellow, if you don't like affection, I really don't see what you can like. Besides, it isn't affection. The point always does hurt me. I hate physical pain of any kind. Jack glares at Algernon, walks up and down the stage, and finally comes up to the table. Algy, I have already told you to go. I don't want you here. Why don't you go? I haven't quite finished my tea yet, and there is 1 muffin left. Takes the last muffin. Jack groans and sinks down in a chair and buries his face in his hands. And that is the end of Act 3. So next week we will start Act 4, and then I guess we'll just continue with Act 4 until we finish with it. Thank you guys for joining me on this video, and I will see you all next week, I guess. Thank you.